Hey folks, welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Tuesday, October 6th, and in today's video, we're going to discuss Apple's new event that's coming up, which will be unveiling the new iPhone. We're also going to discuss a few other stimulus and market-moving news headlines, and we'll also discuss how all sectors in the market today were trending in one direction and why that gave us an early heads up. And we're actually experiencing a mini sell-off in the market, so stick around and we'll jump right into it. All right, so jumping right into it, I will bring up a few news articles here. So first on the list is stimulus. So we had Fed Chair Powell speak today and basically reiterated the need for stimulus and to basically hurry the hell up and pass a deal, basically saying that there is no overdoing it and it's better to have too much than too little. And then we just saw that stocks take a nosedive after Trump basically says that all talks are off until after the election. So again, this is why I've been saying and in my videos that we've just been waiting for the next headline to give us direction. And it's literally one thing contradicting the next. And we were approaching resistance. We were approaching support today, and Apple had news. It comes time and time again, and like I said, I don't have as much confidence in this move up, and this is why. And basically, we may not see any more update on this until 3 or 4 weeks, and maybe even longer than that. But apparently, they were still fighting over the $600 jobless benefits. We saw that Trump actually had no symptoms when he returned back to the White House. And he is back in the White House. So whether you agree with that or not, he is back. And we have the debate tomorrow as well. So that'll be between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, and that'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And next on the list, we have Apple that announced their event today, right around support on Apple, which I'll bring up later on. We came out with this article, and everything was trending in one direction, as the title of the video suggests. And it was perfect timing. It was absolutely perfect timing that they used that to save the chart, essentially. And they'll be unveiling their new iPhone, and that's scheduled for October 13th. And Boeing, we saw that they slashed their forecast for aircraft demand, so they expect for sales to be hurt for the next decade or so. As a result of the whole situation that we're in the economy, and top military leader self-quarantining after he tests positive at the Pentagon. So certainly seeing a lot of negativity. We saw the press secretary had tested positive yesterday, and we also see that the House panel seeks to break up tech giants. So we saw that tech was basically leading the market down lower today, and I think this is why. It's going on in the background, and I think everything's kind of overhauling and masking this. But as you can see, the recommendations that they're proposing could represent the most dramatic overhaul of competition law in decades, if approved. So we could see some new laws come out very soon regarding these big tech companies. So definitely don't sleep on that, and keeping that in the back of my head, because I'm not sure exactly what is going to happen, but like I said, we're seeing notable weakness in the tech sector after it led the way up. And taking a look at some charts, so I do want to just show that everything right now is selling off. And I said this in my video the other day. The market was going up on hopes of stimulus, and what happens if it doesn't? So everybody and their dog was bullish, saying, oh, the stimulus, and the more we know about it and the more they delay it, the more it becomes a sell in the news event. And like I said, what happens if they don't pass it? And then this is what happens. We see these slow grinds up and these huge flushes down. It hasn't been happening as frequently recently, but it's still happening. And you can see to start the day, we also around, I think it was 10 o'clock. So October 6th, around 10 UTC. So we started to sell off. 10 UTC started to sell off. Gold around 10 UTC started to sell off. QQQ, 10 UTC selling off. So as you can see, all sectors were moving in the same direction. They were all selling off, but one major thing, one major clue that that had me cautious was that gold wasn't participating really. It wasn't seeing a huge bounce like everything else. You can see we broke right to the low of the day on SPY, to the high of the day, set a new high of the day, same with QQQ, but gold was lacking and didn't set a new high of the day. And then that's when we slammed down, and it's almost like gold bulls knew what to expect. But that was my major clue today, was we were all trending down together this morning around 10 UTC, and then gold started to recover, but not nearly as significant as the others and other sectors. And then we saw a huge flush and everything trending in the same direction together again. So when we see everything trending in one direction, we know to expect huge follow through. And that's exactly what we got. You can see Bitcoin just getting slammed. SPY, so taking a look, we did change the 5-minute trend here with a low, a high, higher low, and higher high. So we are bouncing on SPY. But jumping back to the analysis here, so there was a nice entry off the hourly higher low. So I did call this out earlier today. Taking a look at this, so to start the day, we had an hourly higher low here. We had this hourly uptrend still intact. So you could have entered right here off of the low of 338.66, and your stop could have been 338.52, and you could have used that as an entry point, and you could have made from 338 all the way up to 342. You would have made about a 1% just on that trade alone. And again, I've just been, I took a couple trades today. There was another Apple trade. But I've just been very conservative on the way up, because I know that we were, you know, the Bears were coming back and proving quite a bit. We haven't seen them sustain anything for a long period of time, but we are starting a new month. So this could potentially be month number 2 of downside. And we are an inside bar right now, but certainly wouldn't be surprised if we continue to trend down, especially now that the stimulus talks have died down until after the election. You can see that we are likely forming our weekly lower high here. And I do know that the monthly RSI was rejecting there, so that's been very reliable as well. But taking a look at the weekly chart, so it looks like our weekly lower high probably is set now, but we want to lose the daily uptrend, which our most important level is 331.19. So if we lose that level, or we confirm a daily downtrend. So if we come down here, form, you know, if we just go sideways for a few days and then we form a lower high and a lower low, then that will give us confidence that the weekly lower high is set. Or if we just go straight down and lose this 331, then we'll know that the uptrend has been lost and that the weekly lower high is likely set. Taking a look at the hourly, so we are seeing huge sell volume. Let's drill into the 5-minute chart. So again, we are seeing huge sell volume, not really much bull volume, and we're rejecting here at EMA 12. So next on the list, we had that nice entry. We had a double bottom at 338.52 on SPY. So you can see here we had three. So let's take a look here. So we had a low of 338.52, and we hit 338.66. So you could have entered off of that 338.66 double bottom, and you would have seen a huge run up. So that's another trade that I made on SPY. I actually used SPXL. So I went the 3X leverage and the ETF. So bull ETF 3X. And yeah, you can always spot these trade opportunities, and that one was a fairly low risk to low reward. And like I said, I knew to be getting out. We had resistance up here at 343.06, and we were getting close. We were slow grinding up, and like I said, it's just doesn't have the same feel as the last run up, as the last bull market. Apple was weak today until they had the news, which I'll bring up in a second. But QQQ, we had daily inside bars. And I even said on Friday on my weekly video that it had such a bad bearish close on QQQ and SPY. And another reason why I was skeptical and not really convinced, and we didn't see enough daily trend changes through all the major indices to give me confidence. And like I said, Apple, Tesla not really participating and just getting slammed, and was not surprised by this at all, to be honest with you. QQQ daily inside bar, bear break, broke bull and then broke bear, but seems to be a fake out in both directions at the moment. So we'll look to break the high of 281 and the low of 274 support. Two most important levels right now on watch. You can see we have increasing sell volume. Taking a look at the 5-minute chart. So we did change the 5-minute trend as well. So we are in a 5-minute uptrend and rejecting at EMA 12 resistance. Bears are picking up some steam here, so we'll have to see. We got about 19 minutes left in the trading day, so we'll see how we close. But as of right now, we would be closing near the low of the day. So we'll see what the bears can do into the end of the day. We'll check back here in a few minutes as well. Taking a look at gold. So we did, again, this was the most important chart for me today. And the major clue, we had the downward resistance line from the descending triangle rejected right at the top of that line and did not close above it. And now look, we're pulling back significantly. We hit a high today of 19.21, so we've shaved off about $28 in no time. And another reason why I was watching the gold chart as my main clue. And like I said, we could potentially go sideways for another 2 to 3 weeks into the election, and a measured move would bring us down here to about, if this descending triangle did play out, to the 1700 range. And that's where I'd look to start accumulating a buy zone for gold. So we'll see if we break bull or bear. We'll see if we get any follow through in either direction, or if we just tighten up into the election, and then we get our real move. But these descending triangles tend to break bear. So we'll just keep an eye out on gold, but definitely not sleeping on this pattern because it's been very, very reliable since all the way back in the beginning of August. Taking a look at the 5-minute bearish RSI div. So we did have, to begin the morning, again, because gold was so important on my list, we did have a 5-minute RSI bearish divergence. So you can see here we were trending up in the price, but we were trending down in the RSI. So that had me cautious. And sure enough, we saw major follow through to the downside. And you got to be looking at so many different things. That's why we have the community. We also have news channel built right in. So we source the news directly from different sources, and it pulls it in automatically. So you don't actually have to keep hitting F5 on a news website. So you can check us out at powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com. I've sent out these signals daily. And if you don't have a trading group, the more eyes you have on the market, the better. So consider checking us out for a 7-day free trial. And moving on from there, we had 5 minutes bearish RSI. We had a 5-minute bear flag that confirmed as well. So on this drop here, you can see this is another reason why when SPY and everything was trending up to new highs of the day, we saw that gold was still just in a, you can see here, gold was just in, well, I consider that all the same move. So I actually drew it like this. That wasn't really much of a high for me. So I drew the bear flag as this, and I consider that a bear flag. And that's exactly what we got. We tested the 3-2 level, fib level, and didn't quite hit a 50% retracement. And we saw that bear flag follow through. And then that's when we got hit with the Trump and stimulus ending talks news that came out. So another thing I was watching was EMA 12 resistance. So gold, ever since we broke it from the high of the day, we lost EMA 12, and it was rejecting the entire time. We did break above it here, but on the back test, we failed in a big way. And now we're still hovering underneath that EMA 12 resistance. So that's another very important signal for me. If it can hold and close above that and form a higher low and trend up, that'll be notable. So taking a look at Apple, we had a daily inside bar, and that obviously broke bear. So didn't break bull. So QQQ, when QQQ broke bull, I looked at Apple. Apple didn't break bull, so I remained cautious. And then now we see that we're breaking bearish, and we did test the low here, so of the previous daily higher low. So we did have support at 112.22, and we hit a low of 112.25. So another potential entry that you could have entered off with a stop just below. And wrapping up real quick here, so we do have the event on the 13th, and like I said, the timing of that news was absolutely impeccable. You can see here that we were testing this support level over here, and right at that support, if we were going to lose that, they could have saw a lot more downside, and then that's when we saw the Apple news event come out right at that time, and it was just too perfect timing. You can see we're selling off more into the end of the day. Not a good sign. Taking a quick look at the SPY chart here on the weekly. So you can see that the 10-week moving average is 335.81. If we were to close right now, we would be below. And taking a look at the 50-day moving average is 335. So we're under that again. So again, it's when you see these types of signals, these long-term macro signals, you need to pay attention, and do not just put your bull blinders on and get complacent, because this is exactly what can happen. You can go to make a coffee and come back and wonder what happened, right? So there was that supply off 113.49, and make sure you're using a stop loss regardless of what you do. So Tesla saw a huge bear break. So on the daily, we broke the multiple inside bars on the daily. So we had 2 inside bars to start the day. We didn't break bull, and then we broke bear, and now we don't have any support all the way down to the 351 level. So we'll look to change the hourly trend. If bulls can form an hourly higher low and higher high, that'll give bulls confidence that the daily higher low is set and that the bounce is underway. But we've just been respecting this EQ. So we have high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, now trending back down. Need to form a higher low compared to 351. Taking a look at the 4 hours. So I did want to mention the head and shoulders. So you can see here we're forming a head and shoulders on Tesla. I would put the neckline right around here, and that measured move would bring us down here to roughly the 350 level, 360. So we're starting to play out right now, so we'll continue to monitor this over the next day or so. But certainly, and we also had a gap to fill as well down here, which looks like it did get filled. So gap has been filled. Potential 4-hour head and shoulders. So the gap was on the daily at 408. So we do have a gap to fill at 408, but we did hit 406 today. So that would have filled that gap. So very interesting on Tesla. Like I said, just doesn't have the same hype and euphoria as it has had over the last couple of months over this bull run. So last on the list, that's pretty much all I had for you guys. Again, we're still watching the weekly bear flags on Apple and Facebook and Google. So you can see here, we're still very possible that we're forming a weekly bear flag on Apple. That would confirm a weekly downtrend as well. Amazon, we have the head and shoulders on the weekly. We lose that, that'll confirm a weekly downtrend, so that's notable. Microsoft, also a weekly head and shoulders. So gonna be very interesting if we lose these higher lows and form weekly downtrends. I could see the fear picking up very, very quickly, and especially with no more stimulus talks on the table. Not sure what else is really gonna drive this up at the moment. I don't think Apple really has what it takes to drag the entire market up. But like I said, Facebook still potentially weekly bear flag that's following through, and Google. So Google looking more and more like a weekly bear flag as well. So keep in mind that we are watching those patterns. The bulls are not out of the woods yet, and anything could happen with Trump's health. So just know that he's still under the quarantine time frame, and anything could happen. So if more and more narrative starts to build up on the negative side, we're already in the fear mode. If you take a look at the fear and greed index today, it hit about 43. So if we start to hit extreme fear and market sentiment, and we start to see more and more news headlines and Biden potentially winning, this could get very interesting. So we didn't see the daily trend changes on all of the sectors with follow through like we were looking for. That was red flag number one. We saw gold was not following the rest of the market and had a 5-minute bear flag. And then that's when we got that news. And we saw a huge follow through from the bears, and they just sucker punched the bulls coming up on resistance when the stimulus talks fell through. And we also have the debate tomorrow, so we could see some volatility around that. So all eyes on the debate with Kamala Harris and Mike Pence tomorrow. Again, that begins at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to subscribe the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the video, and we'll see you tomorrow for another daily market recap. Again, it's Rod with PAL Group. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Have a great night.